Now the basis on which we can classify sources of finance, number one is on the basis of duration, that is a time period for which we require money, right? It can be categorized into three parts, that is your long-term finance, long-term sources of finance, medium-term sources of finance and short-term sources of finance, right? Now long-term sources of finance would be wherein when we require money for a period more than 3 to 5 years. Okay, now if we are able to, if I am taking a loan, let us say from the bank for a period of about 10 years, that is a long-term source of finance, right? Medium-term source of finances, medium-term source of finance when we require money for a period more than 1 year but less than 3 to 5 years. Okay, and when we talk about short-term sources of finance, that is from where we can get money only for a period less than 1 year. Alright, I repeat, long-term sources of finance which are going to give me money for a period more than 3 to 5 years, right? Medium-term sources of finance which are going to give me money for a period more than 1 year but less than 3 to 5 years. And short-term sources of finance which are going to give me money for a period less than 1 year, right? Secondly, we can also categorize them on the basis of ownership, alright? It can be categorized into two, that is your owner's fund and your borrowed funds. ओके, ओनर्स फंड्स मतलब ओनर के खुद का पैसा, ठीक है, उसने कहीं से बाहर से अरेंज नहीं किया है. ऑलराइट, मैंने बिजनेस शुरू किया, मेरे पास कुछ पैसे जमा थे, वो मैंने सारे के सारे बिजनेस में लगा दिए, दैट इज योर ओनर्स फंड. Right? Now, what are the features or characteristics of owners funds? Number one, it's a permanent source of finance. जब वो मेरा खुद का पैसा है, मैंने अपने बिजनेस में लगाया है, तो जब तक मेरा बिजनेस बंद नहीं हो जाता, खत्म नहीं हो जाता, it is going to remain permanently invested in the business. That's why it's a permanent source of finance. ठीक है? Then, no charge on assets. इसका मतलब क्या है? ये आपको काफी जगह ये वर्ड सुनने मिलेगा, no charge on assets. इसका मतलब ये है, कभी आप अगर उधार लेते हैं पैसा, I am sure you must have heard of this term, that if you borrow money from someone else, he also needs a security कि आप ये पैसा उसको वापस दोगे, तो he asks you to mortgage your assets, गिरवी रखने के लिए बोलते हैं. So we say that it puts a charge on the assets. तो जब आप किसी से पैसा उधार लेते हो, you have to, more than often you have to mortgage your asset. But in case of owners fund है, अगर अपना ही पैसा अपने बिजनेस में लगा रहे हो, so there is no need to mortgage any assets. So it does not create any charge on the assets. Last is your control of management. The control of the business affairs remains in the hands of the owners. Okay, if you more than 50% of the capital, if it belongs to you, then the entire control of the business is going to be in your hands. 51% shares अगर आपके पास है, so the control of the business is going to be in your hands. Contrary to this, we have borrowed funds. Borrowed funds मतलब जो मेरे खुद के नहीं है, मैंने कहीं और से अरेंज किए हैं, किसी और से बोरो किए हैं. फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन से बोरो कर सकती हूँ, बैंक से बोरो कर सकती हूँ, फ्रेंड्स रिलेटिव से बोरो कर सकती हूँ, right? But उसके फीचर्स क्या है? It is not a permanent source of finance. क्यों? Because if I have borrowed it from someone, I'll have to return it. I'll have to repay it. Fine. Then I'll have to repay it, not only the principal amount, I'll also have to pay interest. आप किसी से भी पैसा उधार लेते हो, nobody gives you money free of cost. They charge an interest for the same. Alright, so it's not a permanent source of finance because the principal amount has to be paid back. Not only the principal amount, but also the interest also has to be paid. Then it creates a charge over the assets. If you are borrowing money from someone, you may have to mortgage your assets. No control on the management. We treat these lenders or creditors, they are treated as outsiders. They do not have a right to participate in the management of the company, because आप तो पैसा इनसे सिर्फ थोड़ी देर के लिए उधार ले रहे हो, you are going to repay it. Alright, so this was the basic difference between your owners funds and your borrowed funds. Third basis is on the basis of generation. ये दो ही होंगे इसमें, internal sources of finance and external sources of finance. Internal sources meaning something which is generated from within the organization. Fine, for example, अगर मेरे retained earnings, ये हम आगे समझाएंगे आपको. Retained earnings is that if I have earned huge amount of profit, तो मेरा मन नहीं है कि इसको मैं शेयर होल्डर्स में बांटूं. what will I do is I will reinvest this in the business. ठीक है, बिजनेस की बेटरमेंट के लिए और नई प्लांट एंड मशीनरी खरीदने के लिए मैंने अपना प्रॉफिट दोबारा से रीइन्वेस्ट कर दिया. This is an internal source of finance. External sources of finance is something which is arranged from outside the organization. Loans from bank, loans from financial institutions. These are your external sources of finance. So we've covered basically on three bases. We have classified the different sources of finance on the basis of duration, short term, medium term and long term, on the basis of ownership, owners funds and borrowed funds, and on the basis of generation, internal and external. Alright. Now coming on to the major source of finance, that is your shares. Alright. What is a share? क्या होता है share? I often give this example of this movie Guru. Okay, I'm sure most of you would have seen it, that wherein when this person starts a company, ओके, पब्लिक इश्यू निकालता है तो वो क्या कहता है उनको कि मेरी कंपनी में पैसा लगाओ और मालिक बन जाओ. फाइन, कंपनी में पैसा लगाओ और मालिक बन जाओ. डजंट मैटर कि अगर आपके पास बहुत सारे पैसे नहीं, इवन इफ यू हैव 100 रुपीज, यू परचेज वन शेयर ऑफ माई कंपनी एंड यू विल ऑल्सो बिकम वन ऑफ द owners of the company. So basically the entire capital of the company is divided into small and equal units and each unit is called as a share, and by holding that share, by purchasing that share, you become one of the owners of the company. Clear? Now shares can be divided, the shares can basically be of two types, equity shares and preference shares. Now when we talk about equity shares, if you purchase equity shares of a particular company, all right, then your money is going to remain invested in that company till the end, till the time the company is wound up. All right, and that is the reason why the equity shareholders are also called as the residual owners. They are also called as the residual owners. All right, then equity shareholders also get dividend. आप अगर किसी कंपनी के शेयर्स खरीद रहे हो, आपके लिए क्या इंसेंटिव है, आप क्यों खरीदोगे उस कंपनी के शेयर्स? फाइन, क्योंकि वो कंपनी आपको डिविडेंड देगी. अब डिविडेंड क्या है? बाय यूजिंग योर मनी, whatever amount of profit that the company has been able to earn in a particular year. Okay, if the company has been able to earn, there's an if the company has been able to earn some amount of profit, then you are also going to get a small portion of that profit which is called as dividend. Fine, but important thing is if the company earns profit, अगर कंपनी को प्रॉफिट नहीं हुआ तो आपको डिविडेंड नहीं मिलेगा. फाइन, प्रॉफिट हुआ पर सफिशिएंट नहीं हुआ एंड कंपनी वांट्स टू रीइन्वेस्ट दिस प्रॉफिट इन द बिजनेस, तब भी आपको डिविडेंड नहीं मिलेगा. Alright. Now, what are the merits of purchasing equity shares for the investors? Number one, high returns. Now, high returns कैसे? If I am, let us say, if I am investing, if I'm putting my money in a fixed deposit account, okay? मुझे पता है मुझे हर महीने every year, let us say 8.5% per annum के हिसाब से मुझे उसके ऊपर इंटरेस्ट मिल जाएगा. Right? But in case if I invest the same amount in buying equity shares of a particular company, right, and the company earns profit to the tune of thousand of crores, okay, so the amount of dividend that I'm going to get, okay, on the equity shares that are being held by me is going to be much more than 8.5% per annum which I'm going to get in a fixed deposit account. All right, so it enables the investors to get a high rate of return on their money. And secondly, control. Now, since by purchasing equity shares, you become one of the owners of the company, you also get a right to participate in the management of the company. Alright. At the same time, let us discuss the demerits also. Demerits for the investors would be that the returns are fluctuating. As I said, अगर profit है तो dividend मिलेगा, profit नहीं है तो नहीं मिलेगा, profit कम है तो भी नहीं मिलेगा, profit बहुत ज़्यादा है तो बहुत ज़्यादा dividend मिल जाएगा, नहीं तो थोड़ा सा मिलेगा. So the returns are फ्लक्चुएटिंग, देयर इज नॉट अ फिक्स रिटर्न. एफडी में पैसा डालोगे 8.5% हर साल आपके पास आएगा, बट इफ यू आर परचेजिंग इक्विटी शेयर्स, सम years you may have huge amount of dividend, some years you may not have any dividend, some years you may have very little amount of dividend. So returns are pretty fluctuating, right? Then dilution of control. Dilution of control meaning जैसे जैसे आपके number of equity shares बढ़ते जाएंगे, जैसे जैसे नंबर ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर्स बढ़ते जाएंगे, द कंट्रोल ऑफ ईच ऑफ द इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर इज गोइंग टू गेट रिड्यूस्ड ओवर द कंपनी, राइट? देन व्हाट आर द मेरिट्स फॉर द कंपनी? Equity share capital is a permanent source of finance. Why is it a permanent source of finance? Because the amount remains permanently invested in the company. It is repayable to the shareholders only at the time of liquidation. राइट. सेकेंडली, नो फिक्स्ड बर्डन. कंपनी के सर पे कोई बर्डन नहीं होता है, हर साल उसको डिविडेंड देना ही देना है. प्रॉफिट होगा तो देंगे, नहीं होगा तो नहीं देंगे, राइट. देन नो चार्ज ऑन द assets. You don't have to mortgage your assets to be issuing equity share capital, right? Increase in credit worthiness. Now, when you have more of equity share capital in your balance sheet, people are ready to put money in your company. People are ready to put money in your company even without you having to mortgage your assets. मतलब उनका अगर इतना विश्वास है आपके ऊपर, then the rest of the people will also be persuaded to invest in the company, since जब देखेंगे कि इतनी सारी इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल है, इतने लोगों ने अगर इतना विश्वास दिखाया इस कंपनी में, तो कुछ तो होगा. सो इट इंप्रूव्स द क्रेडिट वर्दीनेस ऑफ द कंपनी. ओके. देन डीमेरिट्स क्या है? Higher cost. The cost of issue of shares, you have to issue a prospectus and there are so many other legal formalities which have to be complied with. So the cost of issue of equity shares is pretty high. Dilution of control I have already explained to you. So that's a disadvantage for the company also, and more number of formalities. So this was all about equity shares. Now coming to preference shares. I said there are two types of shares, equity shares and preference shares. Now, as the name itself suggests, preference, they get preference over equity shares in respect of two things. Number one, payment of dividend. पहले अगर डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर हुआ है तो पहले प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को मिलेगा, उसके बाद मिलेगा इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर्स को, राइट? एंड अगर रीपेमेंट होनी है, कंपनी इज बीइंग वाउंड अप, रीपेमेंट में पहले प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को पैसे मिलेंगे, अगर पैसे बचे तो इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर्स को मिलेंगे. सो दीज आर बेसिकली देयर प्रेफरेंशियल राइट्स ऑफ द प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स. ऑलराइट. एंड अनदर थिंग, preference shareholders, they always get dividend, they get a fixed rate of dividend. ठीक है. आप कभी भी देखेंगे प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स लिखे होंगे हमेशा ऐसे 10% प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स. 10% प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स मीनिंग दिस इज द rate of dividend that the preference shareholder is going to get, whereas equity shareholders में ऐसा नहीं होता है. equity shares में आपको fixed नहीं मिलता है, fluctuating returns होती हैं, यहाँ पे fixed है. ठीक है. मिलेगा तभी अगर प्रॉफिट है, अगर प्रॉफिट नहीं है तो नहीं मिलेगा, बट जब भी मिलेगा उसको 10% ही मिलेगा. ऑल राइट. नाउ व्हाट आर द मेरिट्स फॉर द इन्वेस्टर्स? फिक्स्ड एंड रेगुलर इनकम. द इनकम इज फिक्स्ड, right? Then preference of payment, I have just explained these 2 points. Preference of payment over equity shareholders at the time of liquidation of the company. And demerits are that it is not really an attractive source, you know, for investment. Why? Because यहाँ पे fixed return है, fixed return है, but I won't say that it is that regular, because अगर profits नहीं है तो dividend नहीं मिलेगा. Right? Then no high returns, because in the event when a company is earning a profit of, let us say, 10 lakhs, then also it is going to get 10%. Fine. And if the company is earning profit of 10 crores, then also it is only 10%. The dividend is only going to be 10%, not of the profits. Mind you, dividend will be 10% of the amount that you've invested in there. That is the amount of the dividend that you are going to get, right? Now, merits for the company, there isn't any dilution of control, because preference shares, they are repayable. preference shares, they do not remain permanently invested in the company. They are repayable after a specific period of time, right? So they are not allowed to participate in the management of the company. Alright? तो जितने भी प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स बढ़ते गए उससे हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. There is no dilution of control. Then the amount of the dividend which is to be given is fixed. ऐसा नहीं है कि प्रॉफिट ज्यादा हो जाएंगे तो डिविडेंड इस साल ज्यादा दिया जाएगा प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को. उनका डिविडेंड फिक्स्ड ही रहेगा. So that's an advantage for the company and there it doesn't create any charge on the assets. Then demerits to the company. What are the demerits to the company? The cost of issuing the preference shares is very, very high. All right, and the dividend that the company pays to the preference shareholders, it is not tax deductible. It is not tax deductible, meaning कि ये जो इनको जो dividend दिया जाता है preference shareholders को, this is out of the profit after tax. So it does not help in reducing our tax liability, and it creates a dissatisfaction among equity shareholders. Now when the preference shareholders, they are going to get preference over the equity shareholders as far as the payment of dividend is concerned, or as far as your payment of the principal amount at the time of liquidation is concerned. So it does create a kind of dissatisfaction amongst the equity shareholders, right? Now after having done टू डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ शेयर्स, दैट इज ये था हमारी ओनर्स कैप, ये ओनर्स फंड्स में आ जाते हैं आपकी, ये हमारा इक्विटी शेयर्स एंड प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स. नाउ कमिंग टू द थर्ड सोर्स ऑफ फाइनेंस, दैट इज योर डिबेंचर्स. डिबेंचर इज नथिंग एल्स बट इट इज एन एक्नॉलेजमेंट ऑफ द डेट दैट द कंपनी हैज टेकन फ्रॉम द पब्लिक एट लार्ज, राइट? डिबेंचर्स आर नथिंग एल्स, इट्स बेसिकली कि कंपनी आपसे पैसा लेती है फॉर पेमेंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट फॉर अ स्टिपुलेटेड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. वो आपसे 5 साल के लिए ले सकते हैं, 10 साल के लिए, 2 साल के लिए, 1 साल के लिए, एज द केस में बी, बट इट डज नॉट प्रोवाइड अ परमानेंट सोर्स ऑफ फाइनेंस. ये आपको थोड़े टाइम के लिए मिलता है और इसके ऊपर आपको इंटरेस्ट देना है. अब फर्क क्या है? यहां पे आप डिविडेंड सिर्फ तब दोगे जब आपके पास प्रॉफिट्स हैं, राइट? यहां पे आप इंटरेस्ट देना ही देना है, वेदर यू आर अर्निंग प्रॉफिट्स और यू आर इनकरिंग लॉसेस, बट payment of interest is compulsory. It has to be made come what may. It's a fixed obligation for the company, right? Now features are fixed rate of interest, and this interest that you pay on debentures, it is tax deductible, meaning पहले हम प्रॉफिट में से इस इंटरेस्ट को माइनस करते हैं, उसके बाद टैक्स कैलकुलेट करते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली आपका टैक्स कम आएगा, right? Debenture holders, people who buy your debentures are called as debenture holders. Debenture holders, they do not have any voting rights. They do not have the right to participate in the management of the company, right? And it creates a charge on the assets of the company. When the company is issuing debentures, it may have to mortgage its fixed assets, right? Now when we talk about merits, investors को merits क्या है इसके? फिक्स्ड एंड रेगुलर इनकम, ठीक है, एंड इट इज अ सेफर इन्वेस्टमेंट. क्यों? आपने 5 साल के लिए आपके पैसे दिए हैं, आपके पास 5 साल के बाद आ जाएंगे और उन 5 साल के लिए आपके पास इंटरेस्ट रेगुलर आएगा, फिक्स्ड अमाउंट, ठीक है. डीमेरिट्स क्या है? नो वोटिंग राइट्स, ठीक है, कोई वोटिंग राइट्स नहीं है डिबेंचर होल्डर्स के. सेकेंडली, परमानेंट बर्डन रहता है कंपनी के सर पे, ठीक है, कि हमें, बिकॉज चाहे आपको प्रॉफिट हो चाहे लॉस हो, आपको इतना पैसा तो अपने पास हमेशा ही रखना है दैट यू आर एबल टू पे द इंटरेस्ट टू द डिबेंचर होल्डर्स. बिकॉज अगर आपने डिबेंचर इंटरेस्ट नहीं पे किया, द डिबेंचर होल्डर्स कैन ऑलवेज टेक अ लीगल एक्शन अगेंस्ट यू, राइट? कंपनी को क्या मेरिट्स है? नो पार्टिसिपेशन इन प्रॉफिट, उनका प्रॉफिट से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है, आपको सिर्फ उनको एक स्टिपुलेटेड अमाउंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट देना है. चाहे आपका प्रॉफिट 10 करोड़ है, चाहे आपका प्रॉफिट 10 रुपए है, आपको उनको फिक्स्ड अमाउंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट देना है. देन देयर इज नो डाइल्यूशन ऑफ कंट्रोल because they do not have the right to participate in the management of the company, so the control remains intact in the hands of the equity shareholders. Last is tax saving. I just told you, because this interest that you pay on debentures, it is tax deductible, it helps to reduce your tax liability, right? Now coming to the next source of finance, that is your retained earnings. Now as the word itself suggests, retained मतलब रखा हुआ, ठीक है. किसी साल में मुझे प्रॉफिट्स बहुत ज्यादा हो गए, ऑलराइट, तो मैंने सोचा कि 50% मैं दे दूं प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को, और बाकी का 50% जो है आई एम गोइंग टू री इन्वेस्ट इन द बिजनेस. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज योर प्लोइंग बैक ऑफ प्रॉफिट्स. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज प्लोइंग बैक ऑफ द प्रॉफिट्स. Right? Now, what are the advantages of using retained earnings as a source of finance? Number one, it's a permanent source of finance. All right? It is the amount of retained earnings that you've invested in the business. You are not going to take it back. It is going to remain permanently invested in the business. It doesn't create any charge in on the assets. There is no dilution of control. There is no explicit cost. Explicit cost meaning, अगर आप शेयर से पैसा रेज करते हो आपको डिविडेंड देना है, डिविडेंड एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट है. आप डिबेंचर से पैसा रेज करते हो आपको इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिबेंचर्स देना है, दैट इज आल्सो एन एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट, राइट. सो रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स, इट डजंट इन्वॉल्व एनी काइंड ऑफ एक्सप्लिसिट कॉस्ट. देन इट हेल्प्स इन लॉस एब्जॉर्प्शन. मेरे पास अगर रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स पड़ी हुई है और इस साल मुझे अगर लॉस हो गया, सो दैट लॉस कैन बी सेट ऑफ विद द अमाउंट ऑफ द रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स दैट आई हैव, राइट. देन अप्रिसिएशन इन द वैल्यू ऑफ shares. If I have huge reserves in my balance sheet, the market value of my shares will go up, right. Demerits is dissatisfaction amongst the shareholders. उनको dissatisfaction होगी कि अगर 10 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट था तो भाई सारा का सारा डिविडेंड की तरह क्यों नहीं डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया गया. Why is the amount being reinvested in the business? We could have got a higher amount of dividend, right. Then अनसर्टन सोर्स है. आई कैनॉट फुल्ली डिपेंड अपॉन रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स, बिकॉज ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि मेरे पास पैसे हैं आज एक्सेस, कल ना हो. ऑलराइट. लास्ट इज इट इग्नोर्स द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट मीन्स द कॉस्ट ऑफ द नेक्स्ट बेस्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव. ओके, नाउ अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इसकी क्या है? द कॉस्ट ऑफ यूजिंग रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स एज अ सोर्स ऑफ फाइनेंस इज द डिससैटिस्फैक्शन दैट आई एम क्रिएटिंग अमंग्स द शेयर होल्डर्स. ठीक है, मेनी ऑफ देम, एक साल आप करोगे, 2 साल करोगे, कंटिन्यूसली इफ यू आर डूइंग दिस, पीपल विल स्टार्ट टू लीव योर कंपनी, दे विल स्टार्ट टू सेल ऑफ योर शेयर्स. All right, so these are the 4 sources that we've covered so far. That is your equity shares, preference shares, debentures and retained earnings. Now talking about international financing, you know, with the policy of LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization, now Indian companies can also issue shares abroad just the way they issue shares over here to raise money, right? And for the purpose of doing the same, they have something called as global depository receipts, that is GDRs. These are nothing else but these are shares of Indian companies in foreign currencies. That means if an Indian company wants to issue its shares, wants to raise some money from some foreign countries, then it will have to do it by issuing GDRs, that is your global depository receipts, right? Now let us understand the procedure, that how is it done. क्लियर. नाउ इंडियन कंपनी जो है, ठीक है, उसको जितने भी नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इशू करने हैं टू अ फॉरेन कंट्री, बेसिकली इट इज गोइंग टू हैंड इट ओवर टू अ डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक. ठीक है, अपनी कंट्री में जो होगा एक डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक, वो उसको हैंड ओवर करेगी. देन दैट डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक इज गोइंग टू कॉन्टैक्ट द ओवरसीज डिपॉजिटरी बैंक इन विच एवर कंट्री आई वांट टू इशू दोज शेयर्स. फाइन, उनका जो डिपॉजिटरी बैंक होगा, द डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक इज गोइंग टू गेट इन टच विद देम एंड इज गोइंग टू हैंड ओवर द शेयर्स ऑफ द इंडियन कंपनी टू दैट बैंक. What that bank is going to do is convert those equity shares into global depository receipts, okay, which are in a foreign currency. ठीक है, then issue them to the foreign investors. Clear? इंडियन कंपनी ने दिए आपके डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक को, डोमेस्टिक कस्टोडियन बैंक ने दिए ओवरसीज डिपॉजिटरी बैंक को, जिसने उनको कन्वर्ट किया इन ग्लोबल डिपॉजिटरी रिसीट्स एक्सप्रेस्ड इन फॉरेन करेंसी. फाइन, एंड देन फाइनली इशूड देम टू फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स. क्लियर? Now, what are the features of GDRs? Number 1, GDRs can be listed on any foreign stock exchange except America. ठीक है. देन 1 GDR कैन रिप्रेजेंट मोर देन 1 शेयर. मतलब मैं लेट अस से 10 शेयर्स को कंबाइन करके भी एक GDR बना सकती हूँ. देन उसकी डिनोमिनेशन इन द फॉरेन करेंसी विल बी डिफरेंट. Clear? GDR can be converted into share at any point of time. Then a global depository receipt holder does not have any right to vote, right? And dividend is paid on GDRs just as it is paid on shares, right? Now, like we have global depository receipts, we also have ADRs, that is American Depository Receipts, which is just the same as GDRs, with the only difference then these can be listed only on the American Stock Exchange. So if a company wishes to raise money from USA, United States of America, it has to issue American Depository Receipts, which can be traded only on American Stock Exchange. The features of ADRs will be just the same as that of GDR. The procedure of issuing ADR will just be the same as that of issuing a GDR. Alright. Third, IDR, that is your Indian Depository Receipt. If a foreign company wants to raise money from India, alright, then it can do so by issuing Indian Depository Receipts. Clear? Any foreign company wanting to raise money from Indian market will have to issue IDRs issued, and these IDRs, they are issued in Indian rupee denomination. Now procedure इसका क्या होगा? इंडियन कंपनी की जगह आ जाएगी आपकी फॉरेन कंपनी, ठीक है? फॉरेन कंपनी जो देगी वो अपने डिपॉजिटरी बैंक को देगी, right? Then that depository bank is going to their international custodian bank is going to hand it over to your Indian depository bank, ठीक है? Indian depository bank is going to convert the shares of the foreign company into IDRs and further in IDRs को issue किया जाएगा to the Indian investors, right? And these IDRs will be expressed in Indian rupee denomination, right? Now IDRs are issued by a foreign company, clear? Listed on Indian Stock Exchange. These IDRs will be issued or listed on Indian Stock Exchange. A single IDR, like a GDR or ADR, a single IDR can represent more than one share. Dividend is payable on IDRs just like it is payable on shares, and the holder of IDR does not have any right to vote. Fine. An IDR can be converted into share after a period of 1 year. Clear? So more or less the features of GDR, ADR and IDR are more or less just the same. Clear? So this was about international financing. Now moving on to loans from commercial banks. All right. When you take loan from the banks, fine, it can be for a long term, it can be for a medium term, right? Now what are the features? It creates a charge on the assets. Now when you take a loan from a commercial bank, the bank is going to ask for a security. The bank is going to ask for a security. You may have to mortgage your assets. You'll have to mortgage your assets to take loan from the bank. So it necessarily creates a charge on the assets, right? Loan from the bank can be repaid in easy installments. I think we all are aware of that. Fine. People take loan for purchasing their vehicles. They take home loans. Now the same can be repaid in easy installments. And interest on loan which is to be paid, it's a fixed obligation, meaning it has to be paid whether there are profits or whether there are losses. Fine. Now coming to what are the merits of taking loans from the commercial banks. Number one, timely availability of funds. Fine. Generally whenever you apply for loan, whenever you want money, you start applying, you start looking out for alternatives much before that. Alright, and if you have applied for loan from a particular bank, you get to know whether you are going to get the loan or not get the loan within a few days time, right? So whenever you require money, the same can be made available at the right time. Right? Secrecy of the business. If you don't want, when you are taking a loan, there are certain business secrets that you have to share with the bank. But then you be rest assured that bank को आपने जो भी अपनी secrets बताई हैं regarding your finances या regarding your properties, you have to give these details, right? The same will not be leaked to someone else. Then it is a flexible source, meaning अगर मेरा profit बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया, मेरे पास excess money है, I can always repay my loan, fine. या मुझे अगर मैंने अभी 10 crores का लोन लिया है, मुझे थोड़ा सा और चाहिए, I can always extend the amount, I can always apply for what do you call, I can always apply for additional loan. All right. Demerits will be, it's an uncertain source. Uncertain source क्यों है? Because आपको कुछ पक्का तो नहीं है कि अगर आपने लोन के लिए अप्लाई किया है तो आपको 110% मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. You can't be banking upon only loan from one place. कि मैंने यहाँ अप्लाई कर दिया, यहाँ से मुझे मिल जाएगा. There is no certainty. All right. Then it is a difficult procedure. It is a difficult and quite a lengthy procedure. Okay. Lot of procedural formalities are involved in taking a loan from a commercial bank. Right. Now on the same lines we have that for a long term, ठीक है. For a short and medium term we have public deposits, ठीक है. Public deposits is nothing else but companies, they invite public to deposit money with them on which they are going to give them interest which is much more than the bank deposits. That's why these public deposits are becoming very, very popular these days. Right, people think that rather than their money lying idle in the savings account or in the fixed deposit account, right, wherein they are earning just an interest of about 8%, 8.5%, why not invest it in companies? All right, and this is generally for a period up to 3 years. Okay, now what are the merits? The procedure is pretty simple. You just have to apply on a prescribed form. All right, and you can deposit your money with a particular company and thereby earn an interest rate which is much more than the bank deposits, right? Then the cost is pretty low. The cost of public deposits is pretty low. When we say cost of public deposit, we are talking about cost from the point of view of the company. All right, that means if we are raising money by using public deposit, the interest that is payable on public deposits is much less as compared to the interest that you may be paying on debentures or as compared to the interest that the dividend that you may be giving to the shareholders, right? It does not create any charge on the assets. You don't have to mortgage your assets. The company doesn't have to mortgage their assets to take deposits from the public at large, and no dilution of controls. Okay, the holder of the public deposit does not get to participate in the management of the company. He is not a part of the management of the company. So the control does not get diluted at all. Right? Demerits are, it is difficult for new companies to raise money via public deposits. Why? Because people don't have that faith and trust in that company. Fine. If a company is established, मुझे पक्का पता है कि मैंने अगर इसमें पैसा लगाया तो मेरा पैसा डूबेगा नहीं. पर अगर एक कंपनी नहीं है, how do I know whether it is profitable for me to invest my money in that company or not, right? Then it's an unreliable source. All right, आपने ऐड दी है पब्लिक डिपॉजिट्स के लिए, हो सकता है 100 लोग आ जाए, हो सकता है कोई भी ना आए. So you can't really rely on this source only. Only limited amount of money you can raise using public deposits, right? After this, coming to next source of finance, that is again a short-term source of finance, trade credit. Now, what is the meaning of trade credit? You know, it is the amount of it is a credit that is extended by one business person to another. Okay, by one business to another. Like if I am purchasing raw material, ठीक है, और अगर मेरे पास अभी इतना पैसा नहीं है तो जिससे मैं खरीद रही हूँ, that person can extend credit to me. I can always buy the raw material from him on credit. This is called as your trade credit. All right, the credit which is given at the credit basically which is given in the process of trading. Right, now it is a simple and very, very convenient method. All right, then it helps in increasing the sales. It helps in increasing the sales as in if the other person doesn't have money and if you are giving him credit facilities, all right, definitely फिर उसके दिमाग में ये नहीं है ना कि मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, so I can only buy X amount. He will go on buying and which will further help you to increase your sales. Doesn't create any charge on the assets and there is no explicit cost. Explicit cost मैंने पहले बताया था, मतलब कुछ interest dividend जैसा कि इसमें नहीं देना है. There is no explicit cost attached to it. Demerits will be, it may lead to over trading. आप क्रेडिट देते चले जा रहे सेल्स इंक्रीज करने के चक्कर में, बट इससे आपने ओवर ट्रेड कर लिया. ठीक है, अब आपके पास आपने इतना क्रेडिट दे दिया कि आपके पास पैसा ही नहीं है, खुद के पास पैसा नहीं है टू परचेज रॉ मटेरियल. बिकॉज जब आप सब कुछ ही क्रेडिट पे बेच रहे हैं तो आपके पास पैसा तो आ ही नहीं रहा बाय सेलिंग दोज गुड्स, राइट? सो इट मे लीड टू ओवर ट्रेडिंग, फाइन. देन ओनली लिमिटेड फंड्स कैन बी अरेंज्ड विद द हेल्प ऑफ ट्रेड क्रेडिट. आपको थोड़ा सा लिमिटेड फंड्स फॉर अ लिमिटेड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आपका 60 to 90 days, right? Then available only to the reputed buyers. Fine. It's not that if I'm going to a particular person for the first time and I ask and I expect trade credit to be given to me, no, it will not happen. It's only if I have had a relation with him, a good rapport and understanding with him, that I can avail this facility of trade credit. This is a short-term source of finance. Then moving to the last source, that is loans from financial institutions. Now the loans from financial institutions, basically it provides a long-term source of finance. Fine. They provide you loan for a period ranging between 10 to 25 years. All right. Now when I talk about the financial institutions, we can talk about UTI, Unit Trust of India, we can talk about IDBI, we can talk about ICICI, right? Now merits of raising money by way of loans from financial institutions. Number one, it gives you long-term finance because they provide you money for a period ranging between 10 to 25 years. Fine. Then technical and managerial advice. Along with giving you money for a long period of time, they also assist you on the technical and the managerial aspects. Okay? You can also take their advice on technical and managerial aspects related to the project. Then easy repayment of loan. The loan can easily be repaid in installments. Alright, so the entire amount of loan doesn't have to be paid in lump sum, it can always be repaid in installments. Now when we talk about the demerits of taking loans from the financial institutions, number one, they are very rigid. ठीक है, lot of legal formalities, procedural formalities which are there, and they are very rigid about the compliance of those formalities, right? Secondly, too many restrictions. They often impose restrictions regarding how the amount or how the money that you have acquired by the way of loan is to be used, right? About a company starting up with a new project. All right. Then interference in the management. Now when they are granting loan, they often insist that one of their members should be a part of the board of directors, and they don't limit themselves to the usage of loan money only. Okay? There are many other aspects also, all right, like declaration of dividend, etc. So they keep interfering with that, so that really creates a problem for the organization.